Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Welcome back to the DCU Daily, Sunday's edition of the DCU Daily, to be exact. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X, on Snapchat bmouth60, on TikTok Mad Mickey's World. So today I want to talk about Matt Reeves, James Gunn, Robert Pattinson, and this weird process to get to the Batman 2. It's taken a very, very long time, and I don't think they start shooting to the summer or maybe the back end of this year, if they even start shooting then. There's been rumors and innuendos and everything else. Is it in the DCU? Is Robert Pattinson's Batman going to come to the DCU and be the DCU Batman? You know, there's been that debate, there's been rumors. James, to his credit, has said on numerous occasions that Robert Pattinson's Batman is not part of the DCU. It's not something that Rob wants. It's not something that Matt Reeves wants. And James Gunn said he did consider, Robert Pattinson becoming the DCU Batman. But it's clear it's something that Robert Pattinson himself doesn't want, or Matt Reeves himself doesn't want. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today, because Jeff Sneider keeps on spilling a lot of tea about James Gunn and the DCU. Now, Jeff Sneider isn't very happy with James Gunn because James Gunn kind of, not blatantly, but in a way, called Jeff Sneider out for being a liar. Saying that some tea that he spilled wasn't true. And Jeff Sneider wasn't happy about this. So now Jeff seems to be a little bit more vindictive when talking about James Gunn. Now, Jeff Sneider, who is a scooper, claims that Robert Pattinson has seen the full Batman 2 script, but James Gunn hasn't. Now, the last time James spoke about the script, he says that he hasn't seen a complete script, just some pages. But Jeff Sneider claims that James hasn't seen a full script and Robert Pattinson has. Now, earlier this week, and the plot gets even thicker than a McDonald's milkshake, because Robert Pattinson claims he doesn't know the full plot of the Batman 2. Now, there could be a scenario where Matt Reeves has said to Rob, listen, I need you to see the full script, but I don't want Gunn and Safran bugging me, and I don't want to give them the full script. I don't want them giving me notes at this point, right? Now, Jeff Sneider has said that Matt Reeves is going to be taking no notes from James Gunn, but James did brag, just before the Penguin came out, that he did give them, the producers and the showrunner of the Penguin, some notes. Now, we'll never know if they took those notes and made those changes. I very much doubt it. So, in terms of notes, it's something that everybody gets. It doesn't matter who you are when you're making a film, and a studio have given you money to make a film. They have every right to look at your work and give you notes. Now, in terms of Matt Reeves, he has every right to say, get lost, I'm not taking your notes. Now, James Gunn bragged during the marketing process of the Suicide Squad that basically he did get not many notes for the film from WB, but what he did get, he threw away. He said he doesn't take any notice of notes. But now, as a co-CEO of DC Studios, he has a different responsibility. Not only is he the head writer and director of the DCU, he's also the co-CEO. So along with Peter Safran, he should be getting full scripts, and he has every right to hand in notes. That's his job, and that's his responsibility. And I don't think a lot of fans kind of understand that. You know me, I'm very balanced when it comes to James Gunn. I will critique him and criticize him when I feel I need to, and I will give him credit, or defend him when I feel. That's where I am. I'm not going to hate, criticise, criticise, criticise if it's wrong for me to do so, if I don't think there is a need to critique. That's James Gunn's responsibility, to give notes and say, look, we don't really want you to do this. Now, an interesting rumour came to light quite a few weeks ago that Matt Reeves was going to use Clayface in his film. Then, of course, we found out that James Gunn's DCU is developing a Mike Flanagan script, a Clayface movie. Now, here's an interesting question for you all. Will the actor who plays Clayface in the DCU movie, let's just say that Matt Reeves is also using Clayface, will they use the same actor? Or will they use a different Clayface? Mick, what are you talking about? Matt Reeves' the Batman universe is a different universe. It's Elseworld. Of course they're going to use different actors. There's another scenario, of course. Maybe the script is taking so long because Matt Reeves was going to use Clayface as a villain, and Gunn said, no, you can't do that because we're making a Clayface movie. And maybe Matt Reeves had to think again. But if the scenario was that they were both using Clayface and they were both using the same actor, then it would be obvious that the Batman crime saga from Matt Reeves is now within the DCU. It's something that Matt has denied, and it's something that James has denied. But let's go back to Jeff Sneider's kind of leaking of the tea, saying that Robert Pattinson has seen a full script, even though Rob has said this week, as he was promoting that Mickey movie, Mickey 6028, whatever it is, right? You guys will have to let me know what you think of that movie, because I haven't seen it to this point. But he said he hasn't seen a full plot. But maybe he's been sworn to secrecy, not to say publicly that he's seen the full script. So who do we believe here? Do we, it's a difficult situation. Do we believe James Gunn? Right, James Gunn hasn't claimed he's seen a full script, by the way, to be fair. Now, Jeff Sneider claims that Robert Pattinson has seen a full script, even though Robert Pattinson says he doesn't know the full plot details for the movie. I mean, could there be some plot missing from the full script? Well, it's feasible, but here's the thing. Rob needs to see a full script before James does, because Rob needs to prepare for this film. It's more important that that happens. But this does bring into question what James Gunn's rights are here. And even though James Gunn is in charge of the DCU and the Batman crime saga is not at the moment part of, the DCU, he's as a co-CEO. Him and Peter have every right to see a full script and give some notes because, James's purview is beyond the DCU. He's a co-CEO of DC Studios and has every right to see scripts. And I have to keep on repeating this, whether we like that or not, whether you like James Gunn or not, it's right that he should be seeing a full script as soon as possible. And if he wants to give notes, even to an auteur, like a writer-director like Matt Reeves, he has every right to give notes. But because this is a singular vision, Matt Reeves has every right to say, look, my last Batman movie made 770 million during the pandemic, the back end of the pandemic, just as the pandemic was about, coming to an end. But, not everyone was going to cinemas at that time. Whatever people say to you, the 770 million box office for the Batman was very, very good. Don't get it twisted. And people have argued about the Batman versus Superman box office and the Batman box office. It's a different scenario. Batman Begins barely made 400 million, right? But it cost under 100 million to produce. And actually, the Batman was a cheap movie to make, but COVID delays put the budget up a little bit. But ultimately, you'd have to be a stupid person to say the Batman making 770 million wasn't good money. So, Matt can say to James, listen, mate, you're the co-CEO of DC Studios. You have every right to critique my script and give me notes. And I have every right to say, as a very famous, successful author, that I'm not going to take your notes. And then they would, because James Gunn isn't going to fire Matt Reeves. But we've spoken about this before. Matt Reeves, the Batman crime saga, existing as an Elseworld is a problem for James Gunn. It's given him a headache because without that, he could have come in, cast his DCU Batman, released Brave and the Bold, if that movie is still happening. I have my doubts about that, by the way, and there wouldn't have been a problem. So I've said this before, the existence of Matt Reeves' The Batman crime saga isn't James Gunn's fault. What James got wrong was he should never have announced that Brave and the Bold movie. He should have allowed Rob and Matt to cook, and once they've done, then he would have to slowly introduce his own Batman movie, right? So it's interesting what's going to happen with the DCU Batman. It's a big question everyone is talking about, and the only reason we can't see a Batman movie till 2027 or whenever it is, I mean, look, think about it, it's only a couple of years' time anyway. But will there be a third The Batman movie, or will they give Matt Reeves some spin-offs on Max just to keep him quiet and keep him happy? Because Matt Reeves has partnered with some DCU projects. We know that. There's 2 or 3 kind of Batman-related projects that Matt will be producing. So on the surface, it looks like they have a good relationship. And look, Jeff Sneider is absolutely trying to stir it up. Because let's paint a picture for you. If Matt Reeves has given Robert Pattinson, his lead actor, a full script, but James Gunn hasn't seen a full script, and James Gunn has heard from Jeff Sneider like we've all had, and he didn't know this before, there could be some problems. Surely they're not this amateur and they're not this ridiculous. Surely they talk. Surely he understands, James Gunn knows the situation. But we are in New Hollywood, so anything's possible at this point. But it is an interesting situation that what Jeff Sneider is claiming. As I say, it all depends who you want to believe. The people who hate James Gunn are going to believe Jeff Sneider because they'll like the idea of maybe them being problems between Matt Reeves and James Gunn. So I don't know what's going on here. What's important is that this movie gets a completed script and they start shooting this movie. Because as Robert Pattinson said, I started off as a young Batman and I'm going to end up being an old Batman. Look, it's a ridiculous situation. I know, Matt Reeves takes a long time to simmer and to cook his scripts up, but it is verging on the ridiculous now, and they need to get on with that. Has there been rewrites because Matt wanted to use, maybe Clayface, but James Gunn is making, or he's getting someone, to direct a Clayface movie? So maybe that's part of the problem as well. We really don't know. And this is the problem when you're dealing with Elseworlds. If someone on an Elseworld project is going to do something that you want to do over there, it's a bit difficult to have a Clayface there and a Clayface there, right? So if Matt wanted a Clayface to be one of the villains in The Batman 2, but James is definitely doing, they're developing, they're getting ready to shoot that movie, right? He's doing a Clayface movie. You can't have both at the same time unless there's a plan, unless the Batman in the Elseworlds is in the same universe as the DCU, then that makes things slightly different. And then you have to ask the question, what would you rather as Batman fans? A Clayface movie or Clayface being a villain in a Matt Reeves The Batman 2 movie? It's an interesting situation because some people say, is it worth having a Clayface movie? Isn't it better to have him as a villain in a Batman movie? And it's difficult because I haven't read Mike Flanagan's script. Mike Flanagan may have a great idea for a Clayface movie. And if that's the case, then I'd say, well, okay, let's have the Clayface movie. Because I think that's a good thing. I think it's interesting to do different, unique projects and have the big characters and the smaller characters have projects within the DCU.